Scott Goldfein, Editor-in-Chief of Security Sales and Integration, welcoming you to another edition of the SSI Security Speaking podcast. My guest today is Tom Worthington, Director of Dealers Program for Kings III Emergency Communications. Be sure to subscribe to SSI's YouTube channel. Hit the like button, share, and leave comments. Or subscribe to SSI's Security Speaking podcast on Apple and Spotify. And leave us a review. Thank you. Tom, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Scott.
My pleasure. Let's jump right in, Tom. Could you describe for viewers and listeners, Kings III Emergency Communications, for those who might not be familiar with the company, and then also give us a few highlights of recent developments?
Yeah, Kings III has been basically in the emergency communication space for about 30 years. We specialize in elevator and pool phone communications. We've always been on the cutting edge of technology in emergency communications. In the early days, we specialized in line seizure, line consolidation solutions, ultimately saving customers cost on how many phone lines they needed for emergency communications. And then recently, last 15 years, we've really been leading the way in cellular communication within the elevator and swimming pool phone space. And so really, that's really the history of the company. So right now, within the last 5-6 years, we've developed a dealer channel, which that's what I head. And, we've developed a new sales channel that we partner with elevator companies, fire alarm and security companies, and we really partner with them for them to be able to use our cellular technology to migrate customers from traditional phone lines over to new wireless solutions that are code compliant, and that can be a drop-in replacement.
Mm-hmm. So as you look out there, what do you see as a couple of the most promising emergency communication markets for integrators today?
Yeah, really within our space, it's like anything. We kind of look at it as elevator. So basically the big trend right now, like I said before, is the migration of emergency phones within elevators and basically anywhere from traditional phone lines, and they have to basically transition to either a cellular or some other solution to get off of the POTS lines. Number one, you have extremely high costs, and then number two, there are plans for the POTS network to kind of shut down from AT&T and different phone providers. So that's really the big market opportunity right now. Coming in, providing a code compliant solution that your customers can migrate from a traditional POTS line over to cellular. Yeah.
And as you look at those opportunities or maybe some adjacent ones, what are some recurring revenue opportunities you think are out there to be had for integrators?
Yeah, so when you think about, I'll focus just on elevator phone monitoring specifically, but when you've always had the ability to collect recurring monthly revenue (RMR) off of fire alarm companies have always provided elevator phone monitoring. But really, so that's one source of recurring revenue that you can still get. The ability now to create RMR off of the communications path by providing cellular, it's allowed integrators to really get their recurring monthly revenue maybe from $15 to $25 per unit, and now they're able to get north of $50 per unit by adding cellular to that. So it's really been a game changer on what you can do for recurring monthly revenue. You now have two ways to kind of get recurring monthly revenue off of an elevator phone. You can provide the traditional monitoring, but you can also come in and provide a cellular solution for that customer. And so, yeah, that's in our opinion, it's going to be a huge recurring monthly revenue opportunity.
So, Tom, for integrators that are maybe engaged in that now or looking to, expand into that, what would you say are a couple of keys for success?
Well, the biggest value the biggest feedback we get from our existing dealers is just the value of a couple different things. Number one is a lot of fire integrators and security integrators are already going into customers' buildings and eliminating phone lines for the fire panel and the security panel. So a lot of times that the value of being able to get that last phone line for the elevator is not only a tremendous value for their customers, but also for the company, because it's sometimes it's a competitive advantage that their competitors don't offer, and ultimately it solves a headache. A lot of the feedback we get is just the ability to eliminate vendors, and so those are some of the keys to success. A lot of our dealers are using the ability to eliminate phone lines as a way to acquire customers, but also to kind of get a little bit more stickiness to their customers while increasing their recurring monthly revenue.
And Tom, what about, some of the products that Kings 3 brings to the fore? What are a couple of those, and what kind of features and advantages do they provide?
Yeah, so just to keep in mind, Kings 3 comes at everything from an elevator point of view. All of our products are designed and manufactured to meet the elevator code standards, which are very different than what the NFPA and different electrical, the NEC. So we have our own code on the elevator side. So that's something to kind of recognize. Every cellular product that we have, every emergency phone that we have other devices for elevator phone communications, but every device is manufactured to meet that A17.1 code. And then beyond that, on our dealers program side, we just have an incredible tech support team that not only can help fire alarm companies and security companies get into this vertical of elevator phones, but we can help you guys do it without having a headache, while making sure you meet the code standards in every state. So we're really a partner just beyond the hardware. We're really a partner. We can really help that dealer partner grow, from maybe a couple of units all the way to multiple hundreds of units.
So Tom, obviously codes can play a big role in this area of the industry. Can you talk about some, current developments there and how integrators can keep on top of that?
Yeah, so every single state, so all 50 states adopt different versions of the elevator code, which is different year versions. So one state may be on a code that has a standard that another state doesn't. But Kings 3, we're always on the forefront of what technology and what code changes are coming. So there is one big radical change in the elevator phone space. The 2019 code does introduce a new video and text messaging portion to the elevator phone code. So, there are a lot of changes happening, and some states have already adopted that change. But, in the future, if you were to get stuck in an elevator, you now could have the emergency phone like you have now, but the operator would also have the ability to pull up a camera feed and also be able to text message with that trapped passenger should there be any kind of disability of that passenger. So, there are some code changes, but the good thing is, we do have solutions for all those new codes. So, those are things that dealers can reach out and work with us even today on if they run across a brand new job that meets that code. But yeah, so there is some fun stuff happening in the elevator phone world. It's been the most radical code change in a long time, but it's also, I think for fire and security, people, their video is something that has been in the alarm industry for a long time, video verification. So it's finally hitting the elevator phone market. This will ultimately cut down on, false calls and on, dispatching fire rescue when it's not needed. So that's really the ultimate point of the code. But yeah, so that those changes will slowly affect all 50 states over the next, 5-10 years. But right now it's not a huge, not too many elevators have to meet this code.
Gotcha. Well, Tom, thank you so much for, summing up the market right now and those opportunities and, solutions to get success. So anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, just in parting, the biggest opportunity again is the ability to migrate customers from traditional phone lines to cellular options. And in the elevator space, where there's about 1 million elevators in the United States, and the vast majority, Scott, are still connected to POTS lines. So that's really the market opportunity. There's about a million elevators, and they all have to be migrated over time. So yeah, that's really the big market opportunity that we see.
Fantastic. Great. Well, that wraps up another edition of SSI Security Speaking. Thank you again, Tom, for spending time with us.
All right. Thank you so much.
Great. Also, thank you to all the viewers and listeners. And as always, make it a safe day.